So, as we were saying in the previous video, we're talking about low light shooting with specific reference to the 5D Mark I. One of these is a very handy tool to have at your disposal, or indeed in your camera bag. It's 50mm f1.8. You can get these in a multitude of different focal lengths. This one's 50. We have this one here which is 28mm, however that's got a f-stop of 2.5. So it helps to have something like this because well, the difference between, say, a 2.8 and the likes of an L lens, an f4, is about 2 exposure stops. So that's a not bad way to look at it. So they're very useful to have. So this means you can shoot in lower light. And I was out with the 5D last night, and it could actually autofocus. It struggles a wee bit, however with this lens it can do so. So do you want to talk about some of the other features?
Yeah, so one of the differences that kind of alters the cost, I guess you would say, is the fact that the 550 has a built-in flash and the 5D doesn't. So if you never shoot with flash anyway, then this isn't such an issue, but the point being that, you know, you've got to pay another at least about £100 to get a flash for your hot shoe, and so that does bump up the price of it. I mean, obviously it's going to be a better flash than the built-in one, but still is another £80 to £100 starting price for a flash, and that's something that if you're watching the pennies and you need a flash, then you should definitely take into account. Another quite useful feature is that the 550D has video. As we said, it's what we're recording on today, and the 5D Mark I does not have this. It is purely a stills camera. Purely a stills camera, and you know, it may be that you don't shoot video, so you don't really mind that, but if you are wanting to shoot a video, then you will need something that has video on it, or you will need to buy a separate video camera. And I'll let you talk about the autofocus points.
Yep, both cameras have exactly the same number of autofocus points, which is 9 in both instances. And I'll do a brief description. Basically, you probably know this already, however, if you want to select a particular focus point to perhaps create a bit of background blur, so say if you're doing portrait photography, for me, if I was shooting Rachel for example, we could have Rachel perfectly sharp, and then we could have the background out of focus, and this helps draw attention to the subject's face. The beautiful face. So that can be a very handy function. Now, however, with the 550D it can be a bit of a faff trying to select autofocus points. There is a, put this down, there is a button here which enables you to select your autofocus point. So you press that once. I'll maybe see if you can see this on the screen. No, just this way. So you can select it here, and it's not the quickest solution, to be quite honest, especially if you're in the middle of a shoot. So that can be an issue. It can slow you down a bit, and you can miss well, certainly a good shot. However, there's a customizable function in the 5D which allows you to use this little directional wheel here. Now what that does is, regardless of what you're doing in the camera, you can have immediate access to changing your focus points. So immediately you can select top left, top right, or left or right, whatever.
It's done through the viewfinder.
Yeah, and so you never need to take the camera away from your face and potentially miss a shot. So obviously with these cameras you will see the red the red dots illuminate, or squares as it is in that one. So that can be a very useful function. So,
and just, I guess we'll conclude now?
Yep, we'll do a conclusion.
Okay. Right, well, I will talk about the difference in the ISO, because part of the reason that someone would want to buy a full frame camera, aside from the fact it then gives you a more wide angle use of your lenses, is that it has better low light performance in terms of dealing better with ISOs. However, at 3200 on the 5D you're still looking at quite a noticeable amount of noise, and so there isn't really a difference between the performance of the 550 and the performance of the 5D. So if you're thinking, I want to buy a full frame camera because it will give me better noise performance, then I wouldn't say that the 5D Mark I would be a viable option for you, because it doesn't have that benefit.
So it's worth noting that both of these cameras, regardless of which you choose, are very good cameras. I mean, the main thing to consider is what lens you use on them. I mean, take for example this little one, Tamron, quite a cheap one, again relative comment. This can go between about 80 to 100 and something, I don't know.
Yeah. About
that price, so call it £100 in a ballpark figure. The problem with this is it's a zoom lens that does not have what's called UD elements. So consequently, when you zoom this in, apart from the big extension in the barrel, you can get a lot of chromatic aberration. Now I've shot some wildlife from time to time, and I've noticed an awful lot of purple creeping into the image, which, just to be honest, renders the image near enough useless unless you're prepared to spend a lot of time editing, and even that's quite difficult. Whereas something like this,
which is a 70-200 f4 Canon L lens, has the UD elements, which just means that is there any real chromatic aberration?
Not unless you're doing some severe cropping, but even at that it's a bare minimum, so it does make a very big difference.
Yes, definitely. And I guess that size, depending on the lens you're using, the size of the camera may matter to you. So if you're using something big like this, then I would say you get a much better balance of it on the 5D.
Yeah, definitely.
And there isn't much of a weight, there's some weight difference between the two, but it's very marginal, I would say.
Yeah, it's not a big difference. So I mean, it's the quality of the lens you use. For example, these are fairly comparable lenses. This is the 28-135. This is again ultrasonic, so it's a good lens. It's got your metal mounts. This can be used, it's an EF lens, so it can be used in both the 550 and the 5D. And this is the 24-105. This is actually a kit lens on the Mark II
version
5D. It's a very good lens, in my opinion. Both these lenses have IS, but in terms of sharpness, this is superior. And background bokeh, which is kind of the quality of your out of focus elements in the shot, the L lens is again superior with its colour rendering. So that's a big consideration, but I'd happily recommend both of these. So yes, we'll call it a day there. Please subscribe and leave us any comments you may wish.
Send us any requests for any types of photography you'd like to see. If you want to know if we can review a specific lens that you've seen in the video, or just if you have any requests for any videos, then feel free to send us a message and rate us if you like us.
Yep. I'll be happy to do any tutorials of macro photography or fast shutter speeds, what have you. So yes, please subscribe. Thanks.
Bye.